Welcome, everyone, to It's Fine, an official podcast of Broken Arrow Public Schools on the ArrowVision network. I'm your host, Adam J. Foreman, Executive Director of Public Relations for the district, and we are discussing all things fine arts today. And this podcast is made possible by our wonderful One Club sponsors, First National Bank of Broken Arrow, TTC Federal Credit Union, Ascension St. John Broken Arrow, Tulsa Bone and Joint, and the Arrow Group. Today I have some wonderful special guests on today, Mr. Avery Chambers. How are you, Avery?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good to have you here. And Mr. Kyle Todaro. Did I pronounce that right?
Absolutely.
Oh,
yeah,
my
nailed
gosh. How many people mispronounce your name on a daily basis?
Yeah, everyone. Everyone pretty much.
I can't imagine your first day in class when the kids come in and they have to like, I'm in Mr. Todaro's play class.
Yeah, I have a couple different ways to remember how to say it. It's a combination of today and tomorrow.
Okay.
Todaro. Kind of, and that usually doesn't work.
That's amazing, though. I need all the help I can get, trust me. Yeah. Avery and Kyle, you are art teachers here at Broken Arrow High School, correct? And Avery, you are the lead of the department. Is that also correct?
Yes, sir.
I'm just going to make all sorts of assumptions. I'm just going to give you made-up titles by the end of the day. You both will be superintendents by the end of the day. So what we're going to talk about today is fine arts, and most importantly in this conversation, visual art, which is what you guys do. But before that, we're going to talk about you and get your backgrounds. I mean, I'm going to go deep. I want you to tell me where you grew up and went to high school, where you went to college, the degrees you hold, and then your education teaching journey leading up to today. So we're going to start with Kyle.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so say that again.
Okay, just tell me where you're from, where you went to high school, where you went to college, all that good stuff.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'm from Oklahoma City originally, and then I pretty much grew up in Savannah, Georgia. And this is getting right into the art thing. It's because we moved to Savannah because my stepdad was majoring in industrial design at an art school. So I kind of had that exposure to art early on, and so grew up in Savannah, Georgia, and then I went to high school here.
In the Oklahoma City area?
Well, here.
You were a BA grad?
Yeah.
What year?
08.
So depressing, I photographed your graduation.
Nice.
That's depressing.
Wow,
keep going,
back,
please.
Man. Wow.
We do. You didn't know who that bald, crazy man was walking on the floor. Continue.
Okay, yeah. So I went to high school here. I moved back to Oklahoma for the last 3 years of high school, and then promptly pretty much took off and went to OU for a semester, studied art immediately, and then I transferred to this school in Ohio called the Cleveland Institute of Art, and it was an art school, private art school. And there I studied painting there. I got my Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in painting, and then I worked there for a few years as a teaching assistant as soon as I graduated. And then I've worked at places like the Denver Art Museum, a couple museums in the Seattle area, a framing business in Seattle. So I've done a lot of like art. I
see, you kind of been everywhere, haven't you?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Experience is everything.
Yeah.
So what brought you back here as a teacher to Broken Arrow?
Well, actually, I wasn't teaching before I got this job.
Interesting.
But I just had kind of one of those. I had taken a break since I was working for the school for Cleveland Institute of Art, and so I took a break from teaching and doing that sort of thing. And then I just kind of had a revelation that that's what I wanted to get back into. And I got really lucky and really blessed to just be at the right place at the right time, and applied for this job. And this is my second year here, and I mean, it's just really been an awesome thing for me.
Well, we're happy to have you here.
Yeah,
we
you.
have the best teachers here, so
Yeah.
you're in good hands, good ranks.
It's true.
All right, Avery, tell me about you.
Well, mine's not quite as impressive as
I don't believe that for a second.
But I graduated from Sepulpa High School in 1999, so I'm a little bit older.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, so you feel my pain.
I feel your pain, Avery.
So it took me a little while to decide if I wanted to be to go to college or not. I really loved art in high school. That's actually what allowed me to graduate, because it was the only thing that I really indulged myself in at school. And so, but it took me a little while. I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to be an art teacher or not, but I got out, graduated. I went around. I I worked at the district attorney's office for a little, about 4 or 5 years.
Okay, that's a whole other podcast we're going to have to do about you.
And made a lot of great friends there. And then I moved on to work for the Tulsa County Drug Court Program, and then worked for a couple judges. And so it's kind of been like a little mixture of things. But then I kind of discovered that I wanted to be a public servant and decided to go back to school. And so I quit my job and quit everything. I went back to school full time and graduated from NSU with my undergrad.
Go Redmond.
Yeah. And then about 2 years later, I decided, I actually got my undergrad in elementary education. I'm not quite sure what I thought when I was going for that program. I thought it was going to be fun, but it was one of those things. I really enjoyed it, but at the end of the day, I was exhausted. Those little ones, they run circles around you.
They do.
And so I decided, about 4 years into my, teaching elementary, I decided to go back to OSU and got my master's in teaching leadership, and decided, that was kind of where I wanted to pursue, and graduated 4 years ago with my master's.
How about that? So you're kind of like a split brain. You got the artsy side, and then you have this whole other legal side. You're like this Gemini. It's amazing.
I say it's more like public service related.
Well, that's good. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
It's, being able to serve the public and be able to give back to my community and making the world a better place.
So Kyle, you came on board right at the beginning of something super fun called a pandemic.
Yeah.
And so your first year of teaching was just thrown right in there with that. Yeah. So this is going to be different answers for you guys, but I want to flash back to about almost 2 years ago now, which seems funny to say 2 years ago, kind of freaks me out a little bit. And when school kind of was shut down and there was, there was no personal interaction, how in the world, in the fine arts world, do you pivot to keep reaching kids in that? I'm going to start with you, Avery.
I think the biggest word that it comes to my mind when I think of this pandemic is really just being flexible and being understanding. Every single student was in a different place. Every single teacher, every single admin was coming from a different place. Some were thinking about safety. Some were thinking about, how am I going to manage each day? And just being able to be flexible with my students, being flexible with myself and my other peers, teachers, and my admin, being able to be understanding. And I think it's just, taking one moment at a time and realizing that this is all uncharted territories, and we just had to forge through it.
Well, and you think about, like, if you're taking a science class, there's kind of a textbook and an outline, and you can do problems. If you're taking a math class, it's same. How do you do visual art in a pandemic? How do you do that? How'd you do it, Kyle?
To be honest, I don't think you can. It's very challenging. You're kind of limited on what you can do. I like you said, it's all I really know so far in my teaching career. So it may not have been as strange for me as it was for some of the other teachers.
It's kind of like the norm for you at that point.
Yeah. But I just tried to come up with ideas that would be easily presented on a couple slides or something, and just have them do assignments in their sketchbook if it's a drawing class. I had a painting class last year when we switched, and whenever we would meet on Teams meetings or Zoom or whatever, I would just have a painting party and paint with them. And for an hour, we'll meet for an hour and have your paint set up, and let's work on our project together, and we can at least be together in a quasi classroom setting.
Right. I
will admit that I only typically had a handful of kids participate in that out of a class of 30. But
kids will be kids.
Yeah, it's like Avery said. You just gotta be flexible and understanding, and do the best you can. But it definitely has been a challenge, but I think we've been able to make the best out of it.
And how do you make that engagement happen? What are some ways that that way the students just want to be a part of it so badly? What are some methods that you've stumbled upon?
I have a funny story from last year.
I love funny stories.
I actually emailed my students and told them that I was going to give away a free car for everybody who participated. They would be in a drawing for a free car. They didn't know it was a Hot Wheels car. It was.
I was there to say, where do I sign up?
But it was fun. That was one way that kind of get them engaged, and so I put them in a drawing, and they got a little Hot Wheels car. But that was kind of fun. Another way I was thinking, as Kyle, you were talking with Kyle, I I've actually taken some online courses myself, doing refresher courses, trying to think of like, what did, other people do in their, teaching art online? Because there's tons of videos out there. And so I'm always doing that constantly myself to kind of refresh my memory and kind of like make sure I'm, current on what I'm teaching, but just getting that feedback from how they do it and then like trying to, put that into what I'm using for my students in distance learning.
And as we say in the biz, it was professional development.
Exactly.
Yes. So let me ask you this about students and them interacting with you guys. How important is parental involvement with their studies and with their arts when it comes to their engagement in school? Do you have a lot of parents that are supportive of that?
I think it is very, very important. And I'm, and Kyle, you can jump in here. Yeah. Parent involvement is important because if their students see that their parents are like invested in them and being able to see that, like they're proud of them, they work harder, and you can see that drive in that student. And I'm not saying that just if they don't have the parents that they don't have that drive,
right,
but
right.
To see that drive from their parent kind of envisioned, seeing them, kind of pushing that drive for them.
Because even though they think they're cool, they do like that. The kids do. They like knowing that somebody's excited for them and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean they try to play it off, but I had a teenager, so I totally get it. I get it. Trust me. In fact, I think you had my kid,
really?
Avery, as a student at the Freshman Academy. Her name is Romy Clark, if you remember. Yes, that was mine.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I think I met her. She was awesome.
Yeah, now she's old and going to college and all that good stuff. I know. See, well, it's a small world, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a small world. I never. Yeah, and she was memorable, so that's good. So.
Memorable, good. Memorable,
yes,
bad.
She was good.
Little.
Well, you didn't have to, be her parent.
Well,
I'm kidding. She's fantastic. No. So Kyle, I'm going to ask you something. Tell me about the areas that you specialize in that you teach kids. Like, what are all the different mediums you work in?
Okay, so I have a painting degree, so that's kind of my thing. I love teaching painting. And so I teach two painting classes, and then I teach drawing, and then I also teach AP, which is the advanced course, one of the most advanced art course that you can take here at the high school. It's for college credit. Avery and I both teach that.
Oh, they are for college credit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I should have known that. Yes. Like when you say painting, still life, abstract, everything.
Everything. It's more of medium based. Is how I kind of structure the program. Is like first semester we'll learn how to do acrylic painting, and we do still life. We do abstract, and everything in between, and then second semester we switch over to watercolor, and then we actually go do some what's called plein air. In plein air, it's a French term that just means outside.
Tell me more. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's all it means.
You go paint outside. It's whenever you do art outside in plein air.
Interesting.
So, that was a really fun experience last year. Is just going out to that pond across the street we have here.
Yeah.
And doing some painting outside. So it's a really fun class. Outside of painting, I think my specialty is getting kids in the advanced classes. That's one of my favorite classes to teach because they're coming up with their own ideas. It's very like
a studio kind of thing.
It's just a studio class. So you're really just trying to inspire and guide them to creating a portfolio that they submit to College Board that has 8 to 10 cohesive, unified pieces that they've made throughout the year, which is really like
that's a great little portfolio right there.
It's like a college. It really is like a senior college level structure of a course that to ask that of a student. So it's a really cool class, and I enjoy teaching that a lot.
Well, I've seen your students' works, and they're fantastic. Like when you say college level, like to me, some of them are better than college level.
No, they're great.
and I'm always in awe of the kids because I'm a fine arts guy myself, so my heart bleeds a little more for the fine arts kids, and I just love their imagination. So in that AP course, do they literally come up with their own kind of concepts and you just support? Is that how it works?
Yeah, we give them a few assignments to begin the year that are more guided, just to kind of get them thinking in a certain, developing their skills as far as thinking about art, and developing their own style, their influences, and just kind of cultivating their own ideas. And then they have to come up with a topic for their portfolio. And it needs to be it's a question that they're asking, that they're proposing, and basically the course is they're answering the question through their art second semester. So
all the art comes together for that one under that common purpose or topic.
Yeah, that umbrella theme
Wow.
or topic, and it's all they get to pick it out. So it's super impressive to see them where they start at the beginning of the year to where they end up.
I was not blessed with the painting
impressive.
gene at all. I tried. I need to go back to school. Let's talk about art throughout their entire pre-K through 12 career. I know that personally for me, art was my favorite class. That's the one I remember all my art teachers' names from elementary up. How important is it to get to those kids that early and get that ingrained in them?
It is critical. Like, Broken Arrow is one of the very few communities around that actually, have a very strong art department. And I mean, there's lots of, communities, that have the art programs, but they don't have them like at elementary level. And so I think it's very critical that that students do start seeing that creativity and start being able to explore and understanding how to work with their hands and how to, manipulate things and how to question how to work with things and be able to, really put everything in together. And because, if you ever watch a child play and create, it's a beautiful process in itself. And, I've taught elementary art as well. And, it's funny when you're sitting there and you're seeing, you're telling kids, okay, we're going to learn about, lines today. And they get so excited just about a simple thing that you and I would probably take for granted, but just learning about lines and understanding, oh, that's a vertical line. This is a horizontal line. This is a wiggly line, and we, it's just really critical for, elementary aged, students to be able to explore and have fun with art. And then, going into the middle school process and being able to realize that everything in this world revolves around art, and being able to, from the shirt you're wearing, from the car you're driving to the streets that are on the, in our community, everything has to be, related to art somehow.
Don't you wish we can get as excited as those kids do? Like, still have that excitement in you? Like, I need to go back to that time. Because that way everything was kind of fresh and new again.
I mean, just walking down the hall here, there's a little kid walking the hallway here, and he's like, "How did they make that big painting?" And I'm like, I just wanted to
Let
badly
me tell
like,
you.
Yeah, it's just like, just seeing how excited they were about like, things like that. It's just really, it's important to envision, to give that to the students
and inspire them at a young age. Yeah. Well, like what you said, how you wish you could, find that joy or that
innocence again.
Yeah. I will say, creating or being around the students and the more the opportunities they have to dabble in that or play in that, and be creative. It not only rubs off on us as teachers, but I feel like it rubs off on the community. Like whenever you see a mural downtown and downtown BA, it's like, it inspires
a nice mural. Isn't that?
Right. Yeah.
That thing's gorgeous.
Yeah. So I mean, like just to kind of piggyback on what Avery said, like the arts starting from a young age, I think it's super important to just having a great community and a great society and all the above. Yeah.
And, just to add on to that, like Broken Arrow in itself, has a great way of, supporting the community. Like, for example, the Chalk It Up community, Chalk It Up event that we do in, Broken Arrow, I had 8 set of my students participate in that. And you should see how excited they were. And they came back and talked about it for weeks, about how excited that they were to see that the community was out there supporting them and giving them feedback and giving them, and like just seeing how excited they were. So I think that's important to, and also that was another great thing about, there was an elementary teacher that had her elementary class participate in that event, and you could see how excited those kids were. It broke my heart that the day before it rained, but
tragic.
They were the most persevering kids. They came back out, and it was stunning. And I just loved how our community supports the art programs.
So here's how connected I am to both of those things. I sit on the board of directors for the museum, so I was totally in on that whole thing with the music mural. And I also sit on the Arts Council board that does Chalk It Up. So I'm just, I love that. I told you I'm a big fine arts guy, and that I'm just ingrained in all that stuff. I love every
Glad
bit
you're
of it.
on our side.
Absolutely. I'm here for you guys. So you guys have a big district art show in the spring. Is that correct?
Yes.
Are details ready about that yet? Available?
It will most likely start at the beginning of March.
Will it be in person or virtual again?
We are shooting for in person.
Excellent.
We haven't been told otherwise.
Okay.
So it's going to be at NSU Broken Arrow. It's going to be from K-12 or K through all the way to 12. So pre-K to 12. That's what I meant to say. But it's every school will be participating, and we're super excited about it. We're so grateful for NSU for hosting us every year. We'll most likely have a reception. I don't have the information on that just yet. But
It's one of my favorite events of all year is the art show. But even when you guys did it digital last year, it was phenomenal. And I think someone told me that you had hundreds of thousands of visitors to it. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think couldn't remember the number, but I remember it was like a staggering number whenever
I should have wrote that down.
How many it was. It was even the virtual show was great.
I mean, why not have both? Have a virtual show if they can't come, and then have the in-person show
I think we've talked about that.
I'm just going to create more work for you.
Well, and we are.
You're welcome.
We're still possibly going to look at that for future years. I think this year we were kind of putting it on hold for the high school version. I think the elementary might be considering it. Katie Cook is.
Who I love, by the way. Love me some Katie Cook.
Yes, she's pretty amazing. She's the elementary lead, and she's pretty much the one that kind of spearheaded the online art show last year and gave us a lot of direction on that. She was pretty awesome, so we're very grateful for her.
Well, I will continue to champion that because I love it so much.
Can I do a shameless?
You may shamelessly plug anything something you want.
All right, cool. Anything. Wow.
I have the edit button just ready to go.
Right. Well, while we're talking about virtual show, we now have an Instagram account, the Visual Arts.
I've seen that.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I have.
So
I follow that.
I think it's BAHS_visual art.
Did you hear that, listeners?
Instagram.
That's right. And you guys post some really great stuff on there.
It's all just student artwork. Yeah, that's the whole point. It's kind of like a little student gallery.
So what prompted that? Where'd that come from? Whose brainchild? Was that your brainchild?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram,
He's a young folk out there on the Instagram.
That doesn't apply for me. I'm always like, hey, Kyle, how do we do that?
I'm in bed by 8 o'clock. Do whatever you got to do.
Well, that's the truth, though.
Sadly, it is for me as well. But that's a good segue, Mr. Kyle, into the future of fine arts for you and your kids. What are some great stuff that you want to do, or things, dream big kind of things you'd want to do in the future with the fine arts program? Either one of you, toss up.
Well, we can talk a little bit about some of the cool things that we are starting, and I think will continue. And I'm speaking about doing like murals, large paintings for the school or for the community. Like we're doing Art Club is doing 5 5-foot by 5-foot paintings for the library that are going to hang on
for the high school library.
Yeah, for the high school library.
Awesome.
And we just completed a gigantic. How big is it, Avery?
It's 10 foot by 8 foot tall, and it's for the Kirkland Soccer Complex. So it's a
giant painting.
It's a beautiful giant painting of the Kirkland tree.
Yes, the tree.
The tree, and so I don't believe it's there anymore.
It is not.
Now we'll have one there in spirit.
Beautiful. How did that come about? How did that project come about?
The soccer booster club actually asked us to come up with something, and they said they showed us the space for it. It's kind of a blah wall, and it just says soccer or Kirkland on it, and it was kind of boring, and so they were like, "Can you help us create something?" And so we had students kind of design it and come up with something, and it's been a work in progress. So
it's still going right now.
It's on the finishing stages.
Okay.
So I think the biggest challenge now is going to be able to get some volunteers to help us carry it over there.
Did you hear that, listeners? We need volunteers. And I want to stay on top of that because that's great stuff for us to promote throughout the district. And also it marries two very different areas, fine arts and sports, which don't normally hang out together, but that's fantastic. That's the synergy, I think, that makes Broken Arrow different and special.
Well, I think, you asking about what some of the vision for the program is, and I think that's a great point, like about the sports and art. One of our visions is to engage with the community as much as possible with art, like put art in every facet of, Broken Arrow. And so, we're doing the library, we're doing the sports complex. I think we're doing the Performing Arts Center. We have some other ideas about events or things that we can hold that engage the community. And so I think, talking about what we envision the program to be is on two fronts, at least, that I think of. And one is the community aspect, like doing events like Empty Bowls or like the Remembering Project for the Oklahoma City bombing memorial. Like we did a big event last year with hundreds of pieces by students.
Which was excellent, by the way. Wonderful.
Yeah, it was so powerful. Yeah,
it really was.
So that we're on that front, like trying to engage the community and do things for the community and be visible. And then on the other hand, we have, I just don't know how many people know this, but like we have extremely talented students here.
Very extremely talented.
It's incredible. And so another goal of ours is just to keep developing, these young artists and having them launch into, the ones that want to keep going and like be able to prepare them for college or that next level. Or, we have students that win awards at the state level. We have students that win awards at the national level. We had 2 top 10 portfolios in the state for young talent in Oklahoma last year. So, we just want to keep growing our program and preparing these kids for the next level and giving them as many opportunities to show what they can do as possible. And so those are the 2 fronts I think about.
Well, think about them leaving their mark. Like, I did that painting, and they go back and look at it 10 years later. Like, that's mine. Like, that's such a great.
It's still hanging.
Yeah, it's just that's a wonderful thing. Well, you count me in if you need any like help with that. I'm in. I'm like I said, huge fine arts guy. So you just send it all to me.
I wanted to also put a little plug in for the Empty Bowls. We've the pandemic kind of put us on hold for a couple of years on that. And then we have the new art center we're opening up downtown, which thank you for being on that board.
I sit on that board. Yes, you're welcome.
And we are very appreciative of that.
I stole Jennifer away from you guys. You're welcome.
Yeah, well, it opened the door for me.
That's right, it did.
Here, so
that's right, yeah.
Very grateful for that.
Get lost, Jennifer. Just kidding. Love you, Jen.
We do. But one of the things is that was something that was her brainchild, is Empty Bowls, kind of getting that started. And the pandemic kind of put us on hold.
Let me stop you for a second. Explain to the public who may not know what Empty Bowls is. Okay. I know, but you tell them.
So Empty Bowls is a great way for us to come together as the community and is supporting 2 things. It's supporting Broken Arrow Neighbors, which is, a community service here, a nonprofit that supports our Broken Arrow citizens and being able to support them in almost many different ways, more than I can, say.
Financially, food assistance, utility assistance, health. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And then so it's kind of like a give back program for our students. We create bowls in the art classroom, and we ceramic bowls and pottery and paintings. We've even done paintings and drawings and things like that. And what we do is we take that and we put it in like a gallery art setting, and then we invite the community for to purchase a ticket, and then they come in and they get to look through the gallery. They get to have a bowl of soup. And then they get to experience performing arts from everywhere from dance to orchestra to.
I've seen poetry readings there. Yeah, the whole bit.
So it's a great event that's been held annually up until the pandemic started or happened. We put it on hold this year. We were possibly going to possibly have it this year, but then we just put it on hold only because the pandemic was still kind of like, lingering over us, and which obviously it's still kind of happening, but it's just something we wanted to kind of make sure we plan really well for and make sure it's continued to support our community. So.
I tell you, I go around to different businesses all the time, and they always have those bowls sitting on their desks, like years and years later, like they're so happy of those bowls they purchased. Yeah. And I think it's a fantastic event.
What's really great about it is, elementary all the way through high school, students participate in that. And so they get to see that their artwork is being made for a value, for a purpose, and that they give it to somebody that, is like, and those kids, like when they see it in the gallery and like, see people picking up that, and it really puts a sense of pride in themselves and like saying, oh, that's the one I made, and they get so excited about it. And like, I even purchased my tickets myself, and I'm like, oh, I want that one. No, I want this one. No, I want this one. And I just love how, like, it's always such a great way to be able to support the arts and then support our community as well.
Yeah.
And that is the brainchild of, Jennifer Deal. So we're hoping to partner with her this year or for upcoming year to be able to participate and having the art center kind of, kind of still be involved with that and bringing the event to the location there, and then being able to have us still participate, but it'd be kind of like a community partnership.
I don't speak for her or that board, but I'm gonna say yes.
I think it's.
But I didn't say that.
I think it's just a great way for us to be able to promote our community and to promote the new art center. And like, I'm just thinking like getting our students to that art center. Like a lot of them won't even know where it's at, and we'll be talking about it in art classroom, and they'll be like, "Where's that?" And then now we can actually, when we have the event there, we'll be like, "This is where we actually met." That,
Absolutely.
They will get excited about it, and they'll actually be inspired to look more about what the building is able to offer for them.
They'll follow it on Instagram because that's the only way you're real.
Exactly.
We know that.
Yeah, that's right. Well, hey, we're actually getting ready to wrap up. We've been talking for a little bit. So before we do, any ending comments from you? We'll start with you, Kyle. Anything you want to say, plug, etc.?
Man,
I put you on the spot, I know.
You did, yeah.
I mean, you don't have to. I'd just love to give everybody their little last come-uppance before we...
I would just say, follow the Instagram.
Follow the Instagram.
Stay plugged in if you're interested in what we do up here at the high school. It's just awesome on so many levels, and so that's all I'd want to say is just if you're interested in following along with what we do, follow us on Instagram or Facebook, and come to the art show in March.
Which information will be out on all of our social platforms once we do get it out there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We need you.
We need
the support.
That's right.
Yeah.
Avery, any last parting comments from you?
We make art to be able to share with the world, and so that's why we're here, and we're wanting to share our voice, and so just hopefully we're inspiring people to look at art and view art and to be inspired.
Well said. Well, thank you, Avery. Thank you, Kyle, so much for joining us on It's Fine, the official podcast of Broken Arrow Schools and the Fine Arts Department. I'm Adam Foreman saying thank you so much, and we'll talk to you next time.